this is a very interactive session, you've all muted your phones, microphones, which is fantastic, and all your cameras are off, which is amazing. Thank you for that. If you do have a question, or if there's something that I said that you didn't really understand, please unmute. Don't wait until the end. Just unmute and just ask the question and interrupt me. I promise you, I don't mind being interrupted at all. And no question is stupid. I promise you, if you're thinking that question, there'll be others who are thinking that question too. So you'll be really helping everybody else if you ask that question. So please ask away. As I say, no question is stupid. Now, this is an interactive session. So throughout the session, I will be asking for your input and your experience. It'll be lovely to hear from you and share our ideas, and together we can really help you all to create FOMO for your next fundraiser. So we've just got a few who are just who are just popping in right now. So for those of you who are late popping in, if I can ask you to put your full name into the Zoom chat, just so that we can keep a register of who's here today, that will really help myself and Chris. So just whilst we're all doing that, a little bit about me. So my name's Mei King Sang. My first name is Mei King, and I call myself the FOMO creator. FOMO means the fear of missing out, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. I've been helping businesses, universities, colleges, charities for over 20 years, delivering training programs like this on social media and IT. I've been delivering training on social media and FOMO strategy, which is what we're going to talk about next, for over 11 years. So just before we start, I'd like to hear from yourselves, really. What fundraising have you guys done in the past, or have you donated to in the past? It'd be lovely to hear from you. I'd love you to unmute your buttons and let me know what you guys have been up to. So what kind of fundraising activities have you guys done in the past, in school or outside of school or with your cricket club? I'd love to hear from some of you.
Last year in lockdown, I did a fundraising thing where it's called the 555 with my sister. We ran 5K. Donated £5,000 to the NHS.
Oh my God.
And nominated another 5 people.
Oh, fantastic. That's amazing. Congratulations. And so with your 5K, how did you, what kind of fundraising did you do?
We both ran, we got some people to donate in my family and friends.
Okay. That's fantastic, and I might ask you a bit more about that later on. But that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Anybody else? So 5K run there. What else have other people done in the past? If you'd like to unmute your button and let me know what kind of fundraiser. Have you done anything at school? Have you done anything with your cricket club? Have you done anything else? Have you donated to somebody that's done a fundraiser for something or other? Anybody?
Last week, my school, we came in own clothes day, but we gave I think a minimum of £20 to India to help with their crisis at the moment.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Thank you so much for your contribution. That is absolutely amazing. So at school, not wearing a uniform and contributing to that's an amazing fundraising activity. Anybody else? Anyone else? Come on, guys, don't be shy. Okay, so we had a 5K run, which is amazing. We had a not wearing a school uniform day, which is fantastic. And we'll go through a few other things that people might have done in fundraising as well. So let's go through a few of those bits and pieces. Thank you to the both of you who contributed. That's amazing. First question that I'd like to answer, which might be on your lips, is how your fundraising is allocated. So each young leader, each and every one of you today, when you're doing your fundraising for, as a young leader, it is expected that the first £50 goes back to the programme so that can help to cover administrative costs and secure programmes for the next generation of young leaders. But anything else above the £50 can go to any project. So that could be your club, it could be your charity, a charity of your choice. Now, the Young Leader Programme actually supports 2 causes already, which, you could actually put some of your donations to those 2 worthwhile charities. So that's cardiac risk in the young, and the Ruth Strauss Foundation. And there's a link to both of those there. So hopefully that might have answered your question. Now, as well as, no uniform day or the 5K run, which we heard about earlier, there's loads of different ways in which you can fundraise. Some of them you might have done already, things like a bake sale. So, you bake cakes or macarons or muffins or whatever, and you bring them to sell. You could do a sponsored something. So like a sponsored walk, which we talked about before, sponsored run, sponsored silence is something I used to do in the past, quiz night, a car wash, and a raffle is always a great way of fundraising. Now, the reason why I'm bringing all of these suggestions up for you is what we're actually going to do in order to generate more donations to our fundraising. And this is what we're going to look at in the next few minutes. So how to create FOMO for your fundraiser. We're going to go through what is FOMO and why it works for fundraising. We're going to look at 4 steps to creating FOMO. Then we're going to look at some case studies. And, as I say, if you've got any questions at all, please don't wait until the end. Please just unmute your mic and just go into your question there and then. But we can also answer your questions right at the end as well, if you had any. Okay, now fundraising on social media absolutely works. And the reason for this is because 70% of the UK population are on social media. At least 39 minutes are actually spent on social media daily. And 55% of people who engage with nonprofits on social media take an action. Okay, so this statistic is actually not in the UK, it's actually global. But what is interesting is that 55% of people take action once they've seen something on social media. What I mean by take action is that they may not necessarily donate straight away, but they may comment, they may share, they may like. And all of these engagements are really, really useful to try and raise awareness about our fundraising. Obviously, we want people to donate. But if we get a like, if we get a share, if we get a comment, that's one step forward to raising awareness about our fundraising. And we can actually use that to capitalize on that, to take it to the next level of getting a donation. Okay, so what is FOMO? Well, I'm sure you guys already know because you're down with the kids. FOMO means the fear of missing out. Now, if you were to Google that, Google will tell you that FOMO is anxiety that an exciting or interesting event may currently be happening elsewhere, often aroused by posts seen on social media. We want to generate that buzz and excitement, okay? So in creating that buzz and excitement on social media, hopefully it will get people to do something. Hopefully it will get people to donate. Okay. Now I call FOMO as social media 2.0, because a lot of people will use social media to say, here's my fundraising, go to this fundraising page, which is great. But some people may not know who you are. They may not know much about the cause. They may not know why you're fundraising. So we need to explain all these answers in the form of a story. So by telling a story, it helps to get people interested in what we're saying, so that we can eventually get them to donate. So I'm going to explain how we create FOMO, how we tell the story, and how we get people to donate right at the end. Okay, so the 4 steps of FOMO is that we're going to look at the basics. These are things that you're probably doing already. If you're not, it just helps us all to get, make sure that our knowledge is all on the same page. Then we're going to look at the opportunity of working together. Working together to fundraise is a fun activity. Okay, so it's not something that you do by yourself. You do it with other young leaders. You talk about it, you get motivated. And the next thing is, of course, momentum. So how do you actually build the momentum to keep the fundraising, keep the social media posts going, and then on the day itself, what do we do on the actual day itself? So I think there was a couple of people who tuned in a little late there. If I can ask you to make sure that you put your full name in the Zoom chat, just so that we have, just so that we know that that you're all here, that'd be lovely. Thank you. Okay, so FOMO step 1 then, the fundraising basics. Now, we obviously need to know how much we want to raise, who we're raising it for, how long we've got to fundraise. Is it days? Is it weeks? Is it months? And also who's taking part in the fundraising. It's a good idea to get to know all the answers of these questions right at the start, so that we can actually start creating some, TikTok messages, or maybe Instagram posts, or Facebook posts, or Twitter posts to let people know what it is we're doing. Or we can actually answer people's questions. If you talk to people, people want to know who you're fundraising for, what you're doing, what you're doing as part of the fundraising, and who else is taking part. So we need to get to know all this information together, put it all in a note form. So if there's maybe several of you meeting together, then at least you all know what's happening. So step 1 to fundraising basics then, as I mentioned, it is a group activity. So at your first meeting, whether you're hanging out in the playground, or whether you're hanging out after school, or whether you're on WhatsApp or Messenger or Snapchat or something like that, we need to know who's doing what, when, how often are you going to be meeting, and if you need any help, who are you going to contact, and do you have contact details for those people that are going to help you in the fundraising. It doesn't need to be formal. You don't need to have, meeting notes upon meeting notes, but just so that it has some sort of idea, because even having this information is actually quite good to place onto social media, which I'm going to talk a bit more about later. So as I mentioned, fundraising is a group activity, and once you're having those meetings to figure out who's doing what and when, who's responsible for, say you're doing a raffle, who's responsible for going and getting the items for the raffle, how are you collecting the donations? Are you doing it online? Are you doing it just by, going around school, or you're asking your parents and your relatives and your parents' colleagues? Are you getting them to donate? How are you going to collect the money that way? If you're going to be using online, if you're going to use social media, it's a good idea to use a hashtag, and I'll talk more about hashtag later. But when you're writing a social media post online, using a hashtag that you've all agreed on is a good idea for you to actually create some engagement to try and get more people to see your social media posts. So we'll talk a bit more about that later on. And make sure that if you did write some notes down of who's doing what, who's helping out, who's doing what and when, then make sure that everyone knows all of this information. And even if you just write it on, in a quick document and send it to someone as a screenshot, that will be great, just so that everyone knows exactly who's doing what and when and what they're doing. Okay, so at the planning stages then, I'd like to know from yourselves, okay, so some of you have fundraised before, which is amazing. How did you actually meet? Did you meet at lunchtime or before school or after school, or did you meet at the weekends? Give me some ideas on the kind of things that you guys did to actually get together and discuss how you were going to do the fundraising. Would anyone like to start? Anybody? You like to unmute your button and let me know how you, how you started fundraising. For those of you who have been fundraising before, what kind of things did you do? Did you catch up after school or during school at lunchtime or anything like that? Come on, guys, don't leave me hanging.
I did a sponsored run with someone, and we just talked about it during our running club together.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Natalie. So during the running club, did you meet on a regular basis?
Yeah, that was probably every week.
Oh, okay. So you were updating each other every week on how well your fundraising was going.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So Adeline, I hope you don't mind me asking you. You mentioned that you did the 5K run with your sister. How did you? I guess were you living with your sister, so you were able to catch up and have regular meetings?
Yeah, obviously we lived with each other and we were in lockdown, so we were seeing each other very frequently.
Yeah, and so when you were when you decided that you were going to do the 5K run, what kind of other stuff did you talk about when you hung out with your sister in order to, let people know about your fundraising?
We both have social media platforms on Instagram, so we both posted it on our story using the hashtag, which I think was just like 555 or something like that.
Amazing. Absolutely love that. So you were keeping people, your followers and friends updated on Instagram stories. Amazing. Now, who else mentioned that they did a fundraiser as well? Anybody else? Would anyone else like to contribute? Yasmin, did you mentioned that you had the no uniform day. So I guess everyone was decided not to wear the uniform that day in order to raise money for India. Did you do anything else outside of school to try and let people know outside that you were also fundraising as well?
Well, it started from our school council, but a lot of us posted on our Snapchat stories that we're not wearing school uniform. So Amazing. That's awesome. So, this is fantastic. So the fact that, you guys were using Instagram stories or Snapchat stories to let people know what you were doing and how you're going to do it is really, really awesome stuff, because what you're doing is letting people potentially outside of your network of what's happening as well. I remember I put up an Instagram story and I actually put a location because I was traveling to Blackburn that day, and someone
happened to see my Instagram story who I wasn't even connected to. And just because I'd used the hashtag Blackburn, I managed to get talking to a particular person, and that helped me to, raise awareness about what I was doing at the time. So using hashtags and using location-based hashtags is really a great way to maybe reach beyond the people that are following you on Instagram or Snapchat at the moment. So thank you for that. Thanks for your contributions, everyone. Cool. So we've had a couple of meetings, or you've put it onto Instagram or Snapchat stories about, what you're doing, who you're doing it with, who you're fundraising for. That's amazing. Now, we also need to know how we're going to collect the donations as well. So, there are lots of charity websites that you can create online donations. I like crowdfunder.co.uk, though, because they don't actually take any money from you. So things like Just Giving, they actually take a small admin fee in order to deal with, the admin side of things. But Crowdfunder, and there are other websites as well, don't actually take any admin. So if you donate, if you receive, £100 or £500 donation, you will actually, all of your charity will get all that money, which I think is fantastic. So obviously, if you do set up an online page on Crowdfunder or whatever, someone needs to set that up. And once you set that up, you've got the link. We need to figure out, we need to post that regularly on our socials, on Snapchat, on Instagram, TikTok or whatever. And if there's a few of you who are involved in the fundraising, then maybe if you're hanging out together, maybe setting up a group, or maybe messaging each other on Instagram or what have you, or maybe even WhatsApp, and you can share this link to your friends, your colleagues, your parents, and encourage your parents to tell their colleagues, maybe even encourage your parents to write a LinkedIn post or a Facebook post. And I'm pretty sure you guys aren't on Facebook. Get them to write a post and put the link of, your charity as well, of where you're fundraising, just so that other people can see, where the money's going. And it's a great motivator as well to see that website link, to see how much money has been raised so far, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. Now, one of the other things we need to do, of course, is to create a flyer. We can put the flyer around the school or make announcements during school radio, something like that. So there's lots of places that you can create a really pretty poster or a flyer like this. Canva is one of them, canva.com, very easy. Obviously we need some useful information on the flyer, what the fundraising is about, what's going to happen on the big day. If it's, if you're doing like a bake sale or a pizza night or a quiz night or something like that, we need to know what time it is, where it's going to be, where can people go. So you can see here that on the right hand side, this is a generic flyer. You can see it says any city council, charity raffle. This is a template, a free template that you can get on Canva. And then you can go in and make some changes. And if you type in charity in Canva, there'll be loads of posters and loads of templates that you can choose from. And you can then go ahead and make some changes on. Once you've created the flyer, of course, it could be printed out at school, or, you can generate a PDF and you can share that on your stories. Or as an Instagram post if you wanted to as well, and definitely share that flyer across, your text messages or WhatsApp or whatever. Now, whenever you are on social media, it's always a good idea to tell a story. Don't go straight for you can donate here, because we need to know who we're fundraising for, why we're doing it, and what our role is. So just like, a movie, just like a TV show, just like a series that you might watch on Netflix, we need to tell a story. Doesn't need to be, Hollywoodified, but people do need to know who you are, what you're fundraising, what your role is, what you're up to, how you're doing it, when you're doing it, and how people can donate. And you don't need to tell that story all in one go. You can tell it in, every few days, or, tell a story every day on Instagram or on Snapchat, and don't tell the full story. You can create lots of different stories and share that every day in the lead up to the big day. So if you were doing a bake sale, for example, you could talk about the fact that you went out to the shops to get some ingredients in order to make a cake. And then, when you're actually making a cake as well, creating some video footage of you making that cake, and so on. So we all want to know, like, the behind the scenes stuff, because this is all a part of creating that buzz and excitement for your fundraiser. So when you're sharing your story in order to generate funds and donations, maybe encourage the cricket club, if they're not doing it already, to set up the Facebook event page, or setting it up on LinkedIn. And you can then maybe take a screenshot of that event page and sharing that news on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, if you wanted to. And so, if you encourage your parents or their, to write a story with that event, or with your flyer, and encourage them to share it on their social media, so that they can actually raise some funds on your behalf as well. This is an example of another fundraising template that you can find on Canva, which you can definitely go ahead and change. So FOMO tip 1 then is your fundraising planning meeting, how to generate FOMO about it. So, talk on social media, talk about what you've discussed, what you've decided you're going to do, what kind of fundraising, who it's going to. And all of these are stories that you can add into Snapchat or add into Instagram, or the other social media channels as well. Every step of the way can actually be a post that you can put onto social media. And then, of course, when you're fundraising, obviously, you'll be talking to your mates, talking to your teachers, perhaps, maybe, telling your parents, as I say, and your parents can tell their friends and tell their colleagues. Make sure you share a flyer with them, or share the link with them, so that they know exactly where to donate. Now, step 2 is the opportunity to work together. So, as I say, fundraising should be fun. It should be a collaborative, opportunity for you to work with your friends. And so, just like your, a reality TV show, or your favorite show on Netflix, or a film, everybody is telling a story, and you get the highs, the lows, the dramas with the story. So you can actually create your own, Great British Bake Off story, as it were. We don't just want to go and straight to the end to say, here's where you can donate. If you need to practice in order to do the 5K run, tell Instagram or tell Snapchat you've just done a practice run at your running club, and you're getting into the mindset, and you're getting fitter in order to achieve that 5K. You don't want to wait until the day of you doing the run before you start telling people. You want to tell people in the lead up to it. So if you've had to buy some new pair of trainers, for example, and breaking your trainers in, sharing those stories is actually just as interesting as actually the donation page itself, because people want to see the full story of where you're going from and where you're going to. And with, the Great British Bake Off, you see the people go through the highs and lows of making a cake. And, and some people do it well, some people don't do it well. We want to share, our, effectively creating our own reality TV show, as it were. So you've got the opportunity to work together, plan your social media content. So, creating a poster idea, and you can create several flyers that you might want to put around the school, or you might want to give to your, your relatives, or your parents, or their colleagues. You don't need to create the one flyer, create lots of them, and you can use them across your social media posts. And, just tell the same story, but in lots of different ways by creating lots of different flyers. And, whenever you do, whenever you are, whatever fundraising you are doing, as I said, there's always a lot of there's stories that you can share in the lead up to whatever it is you're doing. And everything that you're doing that is part of the fundraiser, you can take a picture of it, take a snapshot of it, take a video of it, put it onto your stories, put it onto Snapchat, put it onto Instagram, put it onto Twitter or wherever. And as we mentioned, using the hashtag, maybe you can use on Instagram, for example, maybe using other charity type hashtags in order to increase your chances of your story being found and possibly people donating to that. And, as I say, with story planning, we want to share our updates on, WhatsApp or whatever, whatever channel you guys use in order to communicate with one another. So if you've done your crowdfunding on an online website, click on it, see how much has been raised so far, and tell people, oh, wow, this is amazing. We've raised another £10. We've raised another £50. You can share these updates on a regular basis so that people will get excited about, about the fundraiser, and they'll share that journey with you to hopefully, help you to get to that next amount. So don't be afraid to update people about what's been raised so far, what's the target, and where you want to achieve. So FOMO tip 2. Fundraising should definitely be fun. It's an opportunity for you to work together with other young leaders, your mates, tell your parents, tell your relatives, and everything can be documented on social media. So if you're doing a raffle, then all the prizes, take a picture of the prizes and letting people know every day, people can win this if they had a raffle prize, explain the, explain that if they buy 5 tickets, it could be £1, or it could be £5, whatever it is, however you set it up. But explaining that, taking a picture of the raffle book, and explaining that you can buy a ticket for £1 or 5 for a £5 or whatever the rules are. All of these, rules, these can be updates on your social media. If someone's donated a prize for you, then definitely take a picture of that and sharing that on your social media. So all of these little updates you can definitely share on social media, and they're all stories. So you're not just saying, here's where you can donate. You're letting people know what's happening as part of the fundraiser. So can anyone share their fundraising stories? Where you've collaborated with others and given updates on social media. Perhaps maybe you can share a story that you put on Snapchat or on Instagram, just to help us all gain lots of ideas that we can share with each other. Anyone want to give us an idea? Anybody? I think it was a couple of weeks ago, we actually had a person who actually talked about why they were fundraising, and they placed it on TikTok. It was just a talkie, they talked in front of the video and shared what they were doing. And that's really nice because it's really personal. And it was a cause that they were obviously passionate about. And so, that's a really good post to share on your story, why you are fundraising for that particular cause. Has anybody got any other suggestions, any posts that they've done on Snapchat or Instagram or any other platform?
We had to run 50K in a month. I think it was a WASP's development thing, and they would just update on Twitter constantly how much money was being, and they set a goal and also how far we'd run, just to keep everyone updated. I
love that. That's fantastic. So, constant updates on the progress of, of your group activity, the 50K, which is phenomenal to do that in a month. It's amazing. And also keeping people updated on how much they've raised so far it's just a great way of telling people that you're fundraising without saying you can donate here. If you had an online page and it shows what the target is and how far off your target, that really helps people to get excited about your fundraising. So thank you so much for sharing that. Let's go back to my presentation. Okay, so the third step is momentum. How do we keep, the momentum going? So, just as we had in that previous example, which is fantastic, because it's such a big goal, you don't want to wait until people, until you've done the 50K to let people know. You want to know, you want to let people know people have done 1K, they've done 2K, they've done 5K, they've done 10K, and keep people going, because not everybody will have tuned in to see what you're doing. So leaving it until right at the end, you're missing on the opportunity for more people to see what you're doing. So do make sure that you keep the momentum going by letting people know on a regular basis, whether it's daily, whether it's weekly, whether it's fortnightly, how much you've raised so far or what you have done so far. So as I said, if you're having a raffle on the big day, letting people know what prizes people can win is a really good idea. And rather than having one picture that has all the prizes, you can actually show people, gradually what people can win. If you're doing a bake sale, cake sale, as I say, going to the supermarket and taking a picture of all the stuff that you've brought. I know it sounds boring, but you're just letting people know the story that you're about to bake some cakes, which are going to be on sale on this particular day. So, you can definitely share, this is how you can keep the momentum going, and sharing what you're fundraising and how much you've fundraised so far without keep telling people this is where you can fundraise. Okay. And, if you've got some donations and people have left their name, then you can take a screenshot of that and put that in your Snapchat or on Twitter or on Instagram and say, thank you, whoever has donated so far. That's another way in which you can really, keep the momentum going and keep people excited and buzzed, and keep sharing these updates on social media. If you've got a group together on WhatsApp, you can maybe keep people updated on WhatsApp or whatever group that you have. Now, I've talked about hashtags, and what you can do is search on your hashtag. So if you're on Twitter or on Instagram and you've created Instagram posts, search on your hashtag to see whether lots of people have written about your fundraising. And if they have, then you can go into those posts and comment underneath those posts, because we want as many people to see your charity fundraiser as possible. And if we can get out, people outside of your network, outside of your followers to donate, that'll be amazing. So by commenting on other people's posts, maybe your friends who've written a post, other young leaders within your group, then you're helping them to help the big cause. So, don't be afraid to like a post or share a post. If you're running out of ideas, definitely searching on the hashtag and then adding your comment underneath the post can actually help to raise awareness about what you're doing. So definitely do that. Okay, we're sort of running out of time a little bit, so I'm just going to go on the next step now. So FOMO step 4 on the big day itself, though. So if you are doing a pizza night or a quiz night or something on the day, car washing day or whatever, your social media doesn't stop there. You definitely want to take lots of photographs. You don't have to be in it. You can definitely take photographs of other people or the event that you're doing, and take some stylish photographs if you want to, before, during, and after. If you're going to take selfies, amazing. Obviously have permission before posting them online. If people might not want their faces online. If people have won the raffle prize, definitely take a picture of that and post that, because after the big day, you can still take in donations. Of course you can, and you want to try and continue to tell those stories. So, whatever happens on the big day, make sure you take lots and lots of photographs. Make sure you share it on, on your socials, on your stories. Maybe post them the next day. If there was a cake sale and all the cakes are gone, even taking a picture of all the crumbs, that's a fantastic photo to say, oh my gosh, all the cakes have been sold. So there's lots of things that you can do before, during, and after the big day itself. So this is just an example of a case study, of what kind of social media posts that you can create in order to generate FOMO. So, if you were to have a raffle as an event, what can you do? Well, you can take a photograph of the raffle and talk about that. The raffle book. Explain the rules of the raffle. How many tickets do you need to buy? What will that get you? And that can be a social media post. The prizes themselves that have been donated by certain people, all of those individual prizes can be donated and, can be created as a social media post. Encouraging all stories to go with these photographs, and getting your parents and relatives, encouraging them to share it on their social media, on Facebook and LinkedIn, and setting up an event. All of these things you can actually do on social media. When you've had a great conversation with someone, if you go old school and you've had a conversation and they've done something, no reason why you can't share that as a story on Instagram or Snapchat. And definitely, if you are online, taking regular screenshots of what's been raised so far, what your target is, and who's donated, and thanking them. These are all posts that you can definitely do and put onto social media. So fundraising is not one social media post that you put, here's where you can donate. You can create lots of stories of, behind the scenes stuff, as I'd like to call it, to let people know in the lead up to the big day, and keep sharing those stories. So, of course, if you've reached your target, amazing, and you should definitely celebrate, and definitely taking photographs of that or videos, of you celebrating. But of course, if you've reached that target, you can maybe create another target and maybe, encourage people to smash that as well. And definitely, as I said, search on the hashtag so that you can help your colleagues and help your friends so that their posts also have more people looking at them. So that's pretty much it. If you've got any questions at all, feel free, to get in touch with me via your parents. If you want them to get in touch with me via LinkedIn, if you've got any specific questions. But in the meantime, does anyone have any questions for me right now on the things that we've talked about? Is there anything that, you guys have thought about that you've fundraised in the past that you'd like to share at all? Anybody?
I'll ask you a question, Making.
Sure.
Have you, in terms of your fundraising activities at the time, what's been the most difficult one you've had to do?
What's the most difficult one I've had to do?
Well, not in as what was it, but as in why was it difficult?
It was challenging because it was such a personal fundraising. So we had to be really creative. It wasn't enough to say, hey, donate to this page. And so it was actually to combat period poverty. So it's a very much a taboo subject. So we had to think of creative ways to talk about that without, going into the doom and gloom of it all, but actually sharing stories of how, what the fundraising will do, how it impacts people in this country as well as abroad, that really touched everybody. And when we shared stories about, daughters and mothers and, the women in our lives, that definitely helped a little bit more. We also made it a bit more fun as well. We did, we put little packs together, so these packs that we're going to go to women. And so taking videos of us putting the packs together is behind the scenes stuff. So, I know that in our last session, Chris, you talked about, pizza nights and, and selling tickets for, maybe watching a big event. So, showing even even the pizzas arriving is a good, something good to share. Maybe asking the question on Instagram, what's your favorite pizza? That's the kind of thing that you can do to try and get people to interact with your social media posts.
It's positive language, isn't it?
It is
it's using positive language. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Positive language is definitely a good idea. But I think it's more, as I say, with a lot of people, when they're fundraising, they tend to concentrate on just here's where you can donate, which is obviously very, we definitely need to know that. But how can we get people engaged so that we can get them to that point? And that's where the showing behind the scenes stuff, you creating a poster, or, you making a pizza, or you making a cake, or you practicing for your 5K run, and celebrating when you've made a donation. These are all great posts that you can put online, which really helps to tell that story. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been a great session, as always.
Does anyone else have any questions at all?
I bet you none of them as quiet as this in class. You have to pass on some hints to their teachers about how to keep them quiet in class.
Well, I just want to thank everyone who's contributed to the session. I hope that everyone listening took something away from some of the others who spoke up today. As I say, I am on all the socials, so if you wanted to get in touch, feel free to. If you're not on the socials, get your parents' permission to get in touch with me. But I'm more than happy to answer your questions.